So, we need to start by.
Oh, I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Right, on favor? Great. Consent agenda,
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second that one too.
right, on favor? Great, perfect. All right, moving on, we have some presentations tonight. And we have a student representative report from the high school. Awesome.
We've got copies. It was very busy last month, so.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Ready or not?
So to start off, we had our Bulldog Showcase conferences, which were very well attended. Teachers and seniors hosted tables for each content area and elective classes, as well as clubs and athletic information tables. And the showcase was for all grades, but we also held an 8th grade student / parent night and a junior parent student meeting.
We had a lot of competitive events happening this month. We had FBLA regionals. We took 47 students to the competition, and all of them placed in the top 10 of their events and qualified for state, which happens in Portland on April 4th through 6th. And they will compete against thousands of other students from all across Oregon at this conference. We also had the marketing jam, and we won awards for the Best Aesthetics Award, Showmanship Award, Daring Designer Award, and the Best of Show.
Our trade skills fundamental class prepares students to work towards their NCCDR certificate, which is a credential from the National Center for Construction Education and Research that demonstrates their skills as they relate to the construction industry, and 12 students would like to work with Lee.
We
We were finally able to have our winter formal dance after having to delay it because of the ice storm. That was attended pretty well, and it was a fun night for all that were there. And then there was an FBLA field trip to Lebanon High School for a welding and manufacturing competition.
And then our advanced manufacturing and welding classes have been able to help community members with project repairs for hands-on learning experience, including bidding the projects out. And they have been also using a CAD program to design a gate to replace the bar gate by the concession stand. And then our ED 100 students are doing practicum work as a class at the elementary school, and all students take a bus at least once a week to go into the classrooms to observe seasoned teachers and work, and for the ED 100 students to put what they have learned into action.
We just had a new visual arts teacher join us for this next semester. He is working to design a computer information and technology program with game design as a learning tool. And we are offering multiple new classes like visual communication and design, multimedia design, and intro to computer technology. And then we were able to order new designs and products for several different areas in the school. We were able to get multiple new things for the welding program, such as new rocket stoves or cutting boards. There's arts and ceramics and stuff for health occupations, agriculture, and then accounting, business, marketing, and HTML.
Very nice, guys. Thank you. That was very thorough. All right, up next, CMS ELA presentation.
Before they present, because they're the main show, I just want to say how FBLA got started. So one of the things that we took from the CSD design committee was the really awesome programs already at the high school with Mona Stifler for FBLA and Kelly Trent Valley for HOSA, and just the continued success they shared at that committee. And obviously they just gave a report on how well they did at regionals. And so when I talked with them, what can the middle school do to help support those programs? They said, start chapters. So we did that. So this is our second year of starting the chapter. And it's been great fun to learn. And some of the people that are presenting did it, actually all 4 of them that'll be presenting. The slideshow did it last year. And then they're only 7th graders. So they'll do it again, hopefully next year. But then everybody here will, and that's all dressed up, they're also part of it. So as they read off their names, they'll stand up and kind of share what they, they'll read off what they got at regionals. So All right, with the main show.
Future Business Leaders of America, FBLA. This is our annual chapter event presentation, presented by, the Creswell Middle School FBLA chapter. Future Business Leaders of America Incorporated is the largest business, career, and technical organization in the world. Its mission is FBLA inspires and prepares students to become community-minded business leaders in global society through relevant career preparation and leadership experiences. In FBLA, we learn life skills that are necessary for when we start our adult life. The events are fun and engaging and keep us motivated to learn. There are group projects that can be performed with peers and objective tests that you can do by yourself. You can also do a role play event. All of these events are fun and engaging.
The first thing we did, or one of the first things we did this year was elect our our chapter officers, and our president was Chloe Miller. Our vice president is Colby Derklinger. She's not here. Our secretary is Chloe Coletti, and our treasurer is Lyra Pelham, and she's also. And then that picture right there is me, the president, accepting a proclamation from the Creswell mayor declaring this week National FBLA Week.
Diamores is one of our annual service projects. Diamores is a fundraiser to raise money for the March of Dimes. Last year, we raised $1,117.96 and donated to the March of Dimes campaign. Our school earned second place for the Diamores at the 2023 FBLA Nationals in Georgia. This week, February 12th through the 16th, we are holding our second annual Diamores. An activity that we did last year was read it to the kindergartners during Read Across America Week. During the school day, we went to Creswell Elementary School and read to the kindergarten classes. We read different picture books to the kindergartners in small groups. This year, we are going to read to the kindergartners on March 6th, 2024. Walk or Ride to School, another service project that we did on Walk or Ride to School Day. Students could walk and ride their bikes to school to be entered into a drawing for a prize. People who walked or rode to school also got a smaller instant prize. The event promoted walking and riding bikes to school. It was a partnership with Safe Routes to School, and the FBLA members volunteered at the reading/practice.
This year, we did a food drive for the Creswell Food Pantry. Normally CMS leadership class does this, but this year our FBLA chapter teamed up with them and we put on the food drive. All the food and money went to the Creswell Food Bank, and during the food drive, we helped count the food and the pound of the money that was brought.
This year, we helped with the cake store. When students are good in class, they get crowd tickets. The crowd tickets can be spent on items in the cake store. All of the items we need to the school to be sold in the store. We help set up the store. This store helps kids who couldn't afford presents around the holidays. The Student Stories and Fundraiser held at our school that helps raise money for competitions. We sell goods like drinks and snacks that kids want to buy. This year we sold Hawaiian leis for a tropical themed dance. The leis raise money for Service Sunday. We will also be selling shamrock shakes in March. Last year, all the profits we made from the students' store went to help pay for our FBLA registration fee and hotel costs for our members to participate at state. The stock market game is a game where you can invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and etc. When you start, you have up to $10,000 to spend. You gain and lose money on the companies that you invest in, like the real stock market. The game uses real data from the stock market. We have competitive in the fall and we'll be competing in the spring challenge. So our spring teams consist of Karen Kruger, Taylor Groves, Avery Heron, and Colby Dirkmeyer. And then our other team was Kira Wen, Seth Hoggard, Eddie Johnson, and Tony Julian.
This year, one of the things that we did was Everify, and Everify is a course that teaches students about economy and prepares them for life after school. After taking the courses, you can apply for a scholarship, and for the scholarship, you had to write an essay. And one of our members, Aubrey Moran, won the $2,000 scholarship.
Life Smart is another competition that is part of FBLA. You can study and take quizzes about life. The quizzes are about things like personal finance and consumer rights. Some of the quizzes can be taken with a learner and some can be taken by yourself. The Lead Explorer Award. This award is won by completing a course on Advertise and uploading the certificate to FBLA Connect. The winner of this award was Clarity Johnson.
Sorry.
The Explorer Award, members are introduced to the foundations of FBLA and learn how to best take advantage of the opportunities available to members through 3 courses. The first one is Welcome to FBLA Law School. Second, Making the Most of Your Experience. And the third, Introduction to Leadership. Lead Expire Award. The Lead Expire Award is the level 2. These 4-hour courses take a deep dive into specialized content areas. Courses may be repeated. New courses continue to be added throughout the year. So the 2 that we currently have are the time management and the Future Smart financial literacy, which is in partner with Everify. The people who completed the Lead Aspire Award are Aubrey Moran, Glenn Miller, Clarity Johnson, Lucas Aarons, Reagan Davis, Seth Hoggard, and Savannah.
For elevator speech, that's an event you can do. The 2023-24 topic was share with your local school board how you have benefited from membership in FBLA and why more funding should be made available to allow more students to participate. And some of the points they talked about in their elevator speech was that FBLA teaches life skills that are essential for after school, and students who participate in FBLA are more social and better prepared. FBLA offers rewards like scholarships, it teaches generosity, activities are fun and educational, and new opportunities are open for students as young as 11 years old.
During the 2024 FBLA Regionals held at Thornberry Middle School, 28 students from CMS competed. All 28 students placed in the top 10 in at least 1 event. These are all of our rankings for FBLA Regionals, including Business Etiquette, first place Brooklyn Davis and Ava Sitter. Business Etiquette, second place Catherine Bolanos, and sixth place Reagan Davis. Career Exploration, first place Leo Cooney, fourth place Tatum Stroda, fifth place Emeka Davis. Critical Thinking, first place Tanya Kruger. Digital Citizenship.
And Chloe, I'm gonna, when you guys hear your name, go ahead and stand so they can see a face with your, who won that division. So if you were in business ethics, business etiquette, or career exploration and critical thinking, stand up, the ones that have been called. Okay, so they can see. And then Chloe, you can start where you're at. And when you hear your name, just stand up so they can put a name with that face.
In Digital Citizenship, first place Leah Capella, second place Mackenzie Ekberg, and third place Tatum Stroda. In elevator speech, seventh place Leah Martin, ninth place Emeka Davis, and 10th place Colby Derkelainer. In Exploring Technology, we have fourth place Lucas Daly Aarons, and in 7th place Kira McGuinn. Exploring Computer Science, first place Kira Wynn, and third place Oliver Coletti. In Exploring Economics, first place Nathan Director, fourth place Kira Johnson, and third place Audrey Tom. Concepts, first place Quake Miller, second place Quake Midland, and fourth place Quake Letty. In Financial Literacy, first place Aubrey Moran, second place Seth Hopper, fifth place Tyler Clements Baham, sixth place Reagan Davis, and ninth place Avi Tom. Interpersonal communication, first place, Aubrey Moran. In leadership, first place, Sam Wolf. In third place, Derek Pelham. Seventh place, Ava Flip. Eighth place, Molly Silvernagle. In ninth place, Adea Martins. In learning strategies, first place was Mackenzie Eckberg. And in finally, in running and effective meetings, first place was Kaylee Groves, and third place was Avery Herrick. So seeing that February week is February 12th through the 16th, and we do a service project for the Dartmoors, and we have FBLA with the Anderson term, our coach, basically, during Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday during the class. And then February 12th was our FBLA proclamation at City Hall, and at February 12th was our watch party today, and then February 14th, our guest speaker at Creswell, from the Creswell Chamber. And today was our Spirit Day, Gospel Success at school, and also today was our FBLA presentation here. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
And we did have a video in there, but I know it got posted in the news that goes out every week, so that's there if you didn't get a chance to see it. I just want to say that, because we just recognize a few people, Lacey's not here tonight, but she actually volunteered to be one of the judges at regionals. I think she had more fun than the kids. She's like, sign me up for this all the time. So, and then Julie Johansson, our principal, she does a great job with the social media and all the different stuff that kind of FBLA has us do. And she just is a huge support and very supportive to all of us and to me. And so I really, really appreciate that. And then Jill Moran is also our volunteer that anytime I call, she's ready to go. If it's serving Shamrock Shakes or it's, hey, you want to stay overnight in Portland, she's ready to roll. So we really appreciate your help. And I have to say, as someone who does a lot of athletics and different things in the district, it's really fun to get to do this. And it's just, I don't know, every time I see them all dressed up, I'm just so very, very proud. And they are a very good group that's worked really hard. And so I thank you guys for the opportunity to do it as well. So.
And I just wanted to share that we have written a letter to the governor of Oregon, and we actually got a response today about FBLA weekend, so we have copies for the board. Most of the kids don't know this because we literally got it during the watch party that we were doing for FBLA, and so I'll be reading it on the loudspeaker, but it's pretty neat. She goes on to point out about how CMS, young people and members of FBLA are basically the future, and she's very impressed that you're starting at a young age, so pretty cool. And so we'll get copies to everyone.
And at our watch party, that was nationwide. We're in one of 9 middle schools in Oregon that do it, but nationwide, Aubrey Moran was she got drawn, so she has registration paid for nationals already. So that was kind of cool to get to be on the national stage.
Well, thank you all. That was a great presentation from all of our students tonight. And the parents that are here tonight. And we love having you at our board meeting, but if you would like to go home and enjoy your home tonight, and have dinner and all of that, you are free to leave at this time. We don't expect you to stay through all of the meeting. But we really did appreciate having you.
Favorite time.
I did say yeah. I think it's so fun.
Yeah, Ron.
And then there was one.
And then there was one.
And then there was.
Okay, we were the audience.
Saturday, we don't go. Do you know where your wallet is?
Yeah, right, yeah, no.
Nobody got it, that's it.
Well, next we have Scott. The VHS curriculum adoption presentation.
Well, good.
The audience fell off color.
Oh, I thought it was material.
No, I.
One-
The lady that really did not, she is.
You said that.
Anywhere you want.
Right there, it's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got a tough audience.
she does get nervous, all these people here. Gotta follow that awesome presentation. Okay, I'm here to talk about the math adoption proposal. We went ahead and had the same type of program as the middle school. I'll go through all the good stuff here. So members, myself, Geometry Picacus, Gary Jones, Ben Larson, and Jane Collins. Here's kind of our timeline. Back in 2022, back in November, December, we had goal setting. All that stuff was done here. We built our rubric, reviewed the data back in January 2023. February, went to Laney SD and went through a bunch of different textbooks there, rated them, reviewed them. In March, K through 12 collaboration disclosure. April, we decided to kind of table the discussions. There's a new 2+1 ideology out there in high school. First 2 years, kind of algebra, geometry, and then you kind of get an option to take a new course depending on which way you want to go. I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. November this school year, we discussed a little more about possibly maybe piloting, there's two ways to say it, illustrated math or illustrative math. We thought maybe that might be the way to go. Got to looking around a little bit more. And then in December discussed maybe more taking a shift to big ideas. Again, the middle school went that route. Seems like a great opportunity to keep it going from 6 to 12, same type of textbook. See, January 4th, made an official decision to adopt big ideas. And so we started putting together this presentation and I'm moving forward on adopting hopefully big ideas. And we went to Laney SD, here was kind of all the programs that we looked at. And that, trying to keep in line with the CSD vision and mission. Rigor, relevance, relationships, as we're looking through all this stuff. So here's what I'm talking about, 2+1. So Oregon high school students are required to earn 3 credits of math at the algebra 1 level or higher. So the common sequence has been algebra, geometry, algebra 2. That's kind of how it's always gone. But now a 2+1 model, it's kind of algebra, geometry, data science, your first 2 years, and then followed by a math course which aligns with the students' post-secondary plans. So there's like 3 different pathways: calculus, data science, or quantitative. And Creswell, that looks like this. There we go. So the calculus pathway, kids will still take algebra 2 and then move on to pre-calculus calculus and get yourself prepared for college. There is the data science pathway. So right now kids can take algebra 2, or we have another class called math, natural science, and business, which Ben Larson teaches. And then leading right into our stats class, which I teach. And then if they wanted to go the quantitative pathway, instead of taking algebra 2, you could go applied tech math and or math, natural science, and business. That third year, that'd be algebra 1 or higher. Okay, so here's our priorities or themes that we discussed as we're looking at these textbooks: engagement, culturally responsive, alignment, regular communication, cognitive challenge, support for teachers, assessment, and support for students. So I'll kind of go through each one of these here. In the big ideas, engagement, STEM research, each chapter begins with an example of real life National Geographic Explorer. So in the beginning of the book, it talks about what they do, what's going on there, kind of gets the kids interested in the topic at hand. Chapters will conclude with a performance task based on the Explorer's field of study. Explore it, has students work with partners to discuss something interesting, applications. Throughout each chapter, students revisit the Explorer's field of study and then apply the math and solve real life problems. So here's an example of what that looks like in the beginning of the book. It'll talk about a National Geographic explorer. And then one on the right there, the performance task that involves that, so. Okay. Theme 2, culturally responsive, got ELL support in there, practice and assessments are in Spanish. And there's modeling real life problems. Got a nice modeling real life problem here, a strike zone. Anyhow, so there's some good stuff there. Alignment, 100% aligned to Oregon math standards. As we looked at the book, it's got all the algebra and geometry standards that are being taught. And in the teacher's edition, I believe they're listed at the beginning of each section, so you know exactly what you're teaching, what kind of standard you're looking at. And there's an example of what that looks like. So the one on the left there, that would be in the teacher's book, it just tells you HSGM A4, which you can look up and figure out which one that is, but it's actually the third one up from the bottom. Use definitions of transformations and symmetry, relationships to justify the solutions of problems in authentic context. So in the teacher's edition, goes through every different standard, algebra, geometry that's that we got for the Oregon math standards. Okay. Rigor in communication. In the book, there's a conceptual understanding, discovering the why, understand the ideas behind key concepts, procedural fluency, learn how with clear step-by-step examples, and become fluent through self-assessment, practice, and review and refresh exercises. Application, making the meaning of mathematics and problem-solving contexts in real-life situations. Cognitive challenge was theme 5, the knowing, the learning, and understanding. Throughout the textbook, students have embedded mathematical practice, like making sense of problems. In the book, they'll say like, explain the meaning, or interpret a solution, or make a plan. Reason abstractly, they'll say things like use equations or use operations, and then use appropriate tools to see things like use a calculator or use a protractor or whatnot. The supports for teachers. So obviously we got a teacher's edition, test and practice workbook, digital test and practice, which is nice to have a digital test and practice. You can kind of make up your own tests and own practices. There's a suggested pacing per chapter. The author, Lori Boswell, has Lori's notes in there, kind of gives you some ideas about it, each lesson. And the Oregon math standards are listed per section. There's a picture of what the geometry books looks like. Assessment, test and practice workbook. There's a textbook practice, the digital test and practice. I talked about that earlier. College and career readiness. Formative assessment tips per section, like turn and talk, and I got an example of that over there within the book. They'll have you give you some ideas. And the thing I liked about this, the next one, I found out, they have a thing called a diagnostic adaptive progression. So you can give this out at the beginning, like a pretest, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and then a post test. And so like, if they answer a question correctly, the next question gets a little more advanced. If you answer it wrong, the question gets slightly easier. And then at the end, it kind of gives the kids and the teacher an idea of where they're kind of at. So I thought that was pretty cool. Last themes, support for students. Obviously, they're going to get a textbook. We look at the textbooks, examples, answers in the back. There's answers to odd number questions, just like the good old days. Glossary, formulas, an index, some self-assessment check-ins. There's also there's a digital piece of this, examples, practices. They got video, there's lesson tutorial videos for students as well. Okay, so at the end of this, what we're trying to ask for is a whole set for algebra, geometry, algebra 2, hopefully even pre-calculus and calculus textbooks. And we'll get Oregon test prep and practice workbooks for the teacher. And there's all the digital stuff. I talked a little bit about that before. But the teacher also has some PowerPoint presentations. Go to PowerPoint. Thank you for doing that. Matt, I didn't get quite the clap there. Thank you. Questions? Thanks, Joel.
So what's the PD rollout like for you guys? Are you already ready to go with pilot? For implementation or?
We got the main textbooks right, and then we got one teacher edition, one student book. We can definitely start rolling out.
Well, what is the PD plan for rollout?
That's to be, once this is approved, that's to be determined, so we'll have to get that order placed.
Okay,
Yeah, so there's some negotiation we can do, working with the high school staff on PD, when we want to offer that, and how many times throughout the year.
So we were able to secure a book at each level, and the team last year and this year has been going through that and working through it, really comparing it to the standards and looking at our data, and areas for growth. And so they've been doing some of their own PD because they just really wanted to get a hands-on with the books, so.
Can I ask the math books that they're using at the middle school are workbooks, and so they're not reusable, like they're just, Logan has a book and when he's done, he's gonna burn it. So are the books that you guys are using, are they old textbooks like we used to have where they use year after year?
That's part of what we have to figure out with the publisher. Once something is adopted, then we can start to work with them to negotiate that. But now typically with whatever curriculum you get, and that's similar to our language arts, those workbooks are included in the bundle that you get for a certain number of years. And so you just get to reorder those without having to pay for them each year. It's just part of the package now that you get.
So potentially both.
Yes.
The workbook.
Yeah, I don't have the hard book, yes, that will be the learning book, but then the workbook is what they would get, yeah, sorry, I didn't.
Well, thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Nobody has any other questions?
Do you have questions, Candace? I feel like Candace generally has a question, but I feel like she's kind of fearing.
I mean,
She'll ask you later.
also I've already heard all about.
Yeah, but-
What's the, just curious of the cost of the program?
Amy, do you have
I
an
can pull up
estimate?
what, I don't know yet, but I can pull up what we paid for middle school, give me a minute. I have that number.
It's really big, so much.
It sounds like a great program, but I'm just curious.
We have to relook at it with the calculus, or the pre-calculus and the calculus. The typical bundles don't come with that package, so we want to see if they would be, what it would look like to add those, because we do offer both of those classes. Scott is articulated with Lane Community College so that our students get Math 111, Math 112, which is the pre-calculus series. And then they can also get Math 251 and Math 252, which is the calculus series through Lane, in addition to statistics 243. The statistics book will not come through. We didn't find the statistics book with big ideas, but Scott's looked at the pre-calculus and the calculus and believes that we can align that with the articulation agreements with Lane. So we're hoping to squeeze that in, which will be a different look than what Amy has, because that wasn't in the original. So that would be something they'd like to talk about based on what they're able to do for us. Because we haven't updated our calculus or pre-calculus books for a little while.
I can tell you that our adoptions range in price, again, we thought there were a lot of factors at play, but we range anywhere from covering right around $50,000. And keep in mind, this is a 7-year contract that we're paying for, to just under $200,000, depending on the resources.
Okay.
Is this already budgeted from the money we budgeted a few years ago?
We have a textbook budget, we have for our curriculum, yeah. We have a budget for that.
So that money is already there, will roll over, it's not, we're not pulling out of the general fund in addition to what we've already budgeted.
No, it's not above our budget. And we'll maintain that same budget as well, while I'm here, that budget item and the amount that we have in there. So that, we can replace consumables and add equipment when it's needed. Or whatever curriculum calls for it.
And I think that's a fair point, because I think we still have to talk about science this year too, right?
Science is going in.
Next year.
Next.
Okay.
Well, there's a
They're
good
out
handful
there.
here that's fast on this. Science.
Great, well, thank you. We appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Crushed it.
You did a nice job.
So
You really hit it out of the park.
to come back to the number, so we have the initial investment. And we have that account, and we will maintain the funding in that account for all of the curriculum that we adopt. And so whatever it takes to maintain it, you will have the funding in there unless for some reason we hit a crisis and we're gonna deplete funds to make adjustments. That would be the only reason to pull that fund out, which is why it wasn't there when it happened. So I assume that's why I was here when I got here, but we built it up.
All right. Moving on. Oh, did you have more?
I just wanted a little more specific. When do we vote on it, or do we?
Not on the agenda.
The next.
Is that a next month thing?
Amy,
Sorry.
on your timeline, when do they present the curriculum for adoption?
For science?
No,
No.
for Matt.
When do we vote?
It's not.
Oh,
appointment
yeah.
To put on the
Oh,
agenda
it
next
wasn't
time.
a consent
Mm-mm.
item. That was the intention. So,
So
does
can
that
I,
mean they get a sleep on it for the next
can I
month?
just make a motion to amend the agenda and we can add it as an action item? Can we do that?
I'm sorry.
Can I make a motion to amend the agenda and then we can vote on it as an action item?
Yes, you can add an action item.
Okay. I think that's what we all wanna do. Okay,
Let's get the ball rolling.
I
We've been
move,
waiting for this for a while.
I move to amend the agenda to add a new business action item to adopt the math curriculum as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Great. Look at there. I got it. Number 7. Don't forget to do it, Debbie. There it is. Okay, now moving on. We're good there. All right, Mike, it's you.
Okay, in my superintendent's report, thank you, Scott.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
In my superintendent's report, I did provide you with a bond update, where we are with the bond projects. The green,
We're doing a little bit of IT over here.
so you have the green highlights there, that's what we're currently working with. All of the others are things that we have already accomplished. So you can follow that through to the back. The boundary assessment, on the respirator, I'm still in progress. These things take like forever. Wetlands designation, we've completed that, so we know where our wetlands areas are, designated wetlands area, and so things are looking, really good out there to move forward with what we're doing with our field. Just moving that dirt around and into the areas that are not going to impact the wetland, and we already have a plan for that with Nathan. Since the year started, since the summer, we've installed 30 new, Joel has installed, and his crew have installed 30 new surveillance cameras throughout the district, and we repaired 20 others. So we're really getting some eyes out there on our property. Baseball and softball fields, Joel and I and Gilbert will be meeting with the field installer to complete the design within the next couple of weeks. And then we send out that final design to the turf maker. And then they'll make the final cuts in the turf for us and send it out, should be coming out in about April. The commons expansion, the CT, or we'll just go with the commons expansion, that thing is in progress. We haven't really fully stitched that one up yet. We're still working with the engineer. That meeting's coming up here pretty soon. I need to get some things out of my way before we could get to that meeting, but, that'll be coming up before our next board meeting. Joel, and the RFP committee, Mike, and others, who else is on that, on the board?
Lacey.
So they, why don't you guys speak to that and talk about where you're at with the progress on that seat, on the RFP for the CT?
Certainly, do you want to? Well, no, go ahead. So, we have, I've been corresponding with our four top firms that had selected the selection committee. The RFP was written in a way that we said we were going to interview the top rated firms. We didn't have a number set to that. And that gave us some opportunity to look at the top firms. And so the selection committees wanted to go with the 4 top firms. And we have those interviews slated for next Tuesday. It's going to be a busy Tuesday for us, from noon to 4. And our plan, the committee is going to meet afterwards. The committee will be part of the interview process. There's 9 questions. All the firms have received their questions, so they're going to present back to us a presentation answering those questions. And then after that interview, we plan to meet, discuss, and do finalization of scoring and pick the top candidate. And then from there, I'll do a letter of intent, which is part of the process. And then I will also forward that name at the March school board meetings. You'll see that as a recommendation, as an action item to approve that selection committee's recommendation. So we're pretty excited about it. And the 4 firms are pretty excited about meeting with us. We can't go wrong with these guys. 2 are local, 2 are out of Portland. Just happened to work out that way very nicely. So the scoring, I'll release all the scoring information after we wrap all this up, but I will share that the scoring is super tight, down to 0.7 type of thing. I mean, which tells you these are top caliber companies. That's pretty cool.
Very nice.
Anything to add, Mike?
No, after looking at that, I know we're gonna pick one, but I don't think we can go wrong with any of the 4. Or there's a couple more that were pretty darn good, but it's a good group that we're gonna get a chance to pick from, so. Anxious to listen to see what they have to say.
I'll tell you what, they all have, I mean, just, their reputations exceed anything that I've seen in the pool. The ones that didn't make the cut are really high quality outfit. I mean, it's unbelievable who didn't make it, but when you look at who did, it's like, okay, I get it. I mean, they're just all in there. Yeah, in the state, they're the best of them.
I had a chance to talk to a couple of guys that have used it before. I talked to Tony Skirdo at the Lady SB meeting the other night, and he had some really good words to say about a couple of them, and another guy I know, knows one of them. I haven't heard any word yet, so no, I don't think we can lose it for sure before we go there.
Good, thanks. And then, at the middle school, the field lights are project out there, which has turned into a really long project. But it's really starting to move forward now. One of the power poles have been installed already. Gilbert and Ryan installed the pole out there for us, our pole. Now, our Civic Power needs to go out there and put their big electrical pole up. And then the electrical company will come put the terminal in, and then we wire it up. But the lights will be on the 11th of March. So, and then we're looking for the cooler to come in the spring to start finalizing some numbers on the cooler for that, for the middle school over there. Just to kind of give you an idea where we're at, and with the elementary school here at Crest Lane, we had estimated a budget for the projects here at 1.5 million, and we spent 875,000. And we have a couple of projects to do, but we're really under budget on this school due to a lot of actually just negotiating out there and bringing in some big prices on some of the projects. And We got Gilbert's hands around, he builds stuff and does stuff, so that helps too. But we're looking, you know, out into the future, maybe getting some different, cabinets in the classrooms over here on this side. They're 80 years old or something, you know, I think. So that wouldn't hurt. Creswell Middle School, we have 1.1 million over there, a little over 1.1 million. And to date, we've spent 268,000, and we have the cooler coming in over there. That was the main cost over there. The cooler, well, the lights were an expense as well, but that cooler has turned out to be more than what we saw 2 years ago when we were doing estimates on that. But we're working on that one. And then at the high school, we have 17 budgeted. We're looking at somewhere between 7 or 12 for the CTE building, trying to keep more down to the 7 million area. And we have had the fields in there. We had 5 million estimated on one field there. That I think we ran up around 2 for that. So we've been really just moving the money around to bring in higher quality projects, and we'll get the other 2 fields here in the spring, summer. But we, at the high school, we spent 1,731,000 on our costs, and the field track was the majority of that. And, bond interest earnings are, well, what are they, 300,000 a quarter? Or a month?
We're about, yeah, it's about 4 million.
40 million a quarter, we're bringing in interest on the bond money, and all that will then continue to roll into bond projects as we go. And we'll get to hopefully, we'll get down to our list of the other things that we would like to see happen that we listed on the bond. So, total balance still remaining to be spent is about 19.5. We're in good shape right now.
So are we done with everything at this building besides the, like, because
Well-
with the parking lot on there, I can't remember.
The parking lot was one of the things we want to get to.
Okay,
But the doors, the electronic doors and the steel
Okay.
doors around this building where we don't have steel doors, and then
okay, all right.
And the security cameras are kind of all over the district.
Yeah, I was just curious, because I see what we've got completed, and I just can't remember all of the things that we decided we were doing. There's so many.
yeah,
Yeah.
One thing, a question is, vandalism slowed down or stopped on the fields and you know, we were having quite a bit at one time. Has that slowed down, you know, the new track they put in and the new fields, has that slowed down at all?
the pedestrian traffic, dog traffic, that kind of stuff that on the field is still the same as it was before. So we still have all the action going on out there. As far as damage and stuff with the weather, the way it's been with the rain, the ice and that kind of stuff, we don't see a whole lot of people want to play out there. You know, with their motorcycles and stuff, but you know, but we have videos and we can check them out and see what's going on over the weekend. Any other questions on what's happening with the fences, the security fences for our campuses? We have bids on those now, 3 designs. And so we'll be narrowing that down, and those will start to go in these 2 fields, and then we'll bid out the fences for the baseball and softball field after that. Because those fences for the baseball and softball field need to be in the design plan for the fields, because they're that close to the field. Actually, they're a part of the field. So,
So we went, like a curve, that what they do?
yeah.
The fencing curve.
Mhm. The mow strip.
Yeah.
We're looking at mow strips right now to do on that field, and whatever we choose to do over there, we'll do on the other 2 fields, so that we don't have grass growing over into the. So,
I think it's like 2 feet or something. I mean, it's quite, it's gonna be pretty accurate.
any other questions or any questions on the projects or anything about that?
I do have a question, not so much, well, it's kind of about the bond, or maybe we're gonna talk about this somewhere else, but the high school gym. Do we have any updates on plans this summer for, and I don't think, is that some bond money and some seismic grant money?
So that's with the expansion of the commons area and whatever design we're gonna do in there with the architects, that has to work in with the engineers and the engineer planning, and the engineers are still putting their plan together. But that's what we're going to be within the next month. We'll be meeting with them and starting to talk about the additional designs out of the bond fund so that they can start figuring out and know exactly where we're going to have to add money to it. So they're doing about a third of the roof over there on that building. And we need the whole roof new. So we're getting bids on the rest of the roof to see where we're at, because when you go to the GC of that project, of the seismic project, which is McKinney Commercial, there's a markup on that.
So anywhere from 10 to 20, you're gonna get a markup from the engineering firm and from the general contractor. So you're gonna get 10 to 20% combined between the two of them.
And
I actually had a conversation with them about that today. We had a meeting, pretty big walkthrough with subcontractors, and I actually talked to them. They're friendly, McKinsey and CCS, they understand. I mean, we talked about the roofs, and I mentioned, but they know what we're doing, how we want to approach it.
If they really understand, they would give us a 5%.
Exactly.
That's what
I tried.
I'll get one.
There you go.
So, yeah, good question. That is the next big one that we need to nail down. Between that and the CPE building and the fields, we got a lot of action going on, so.
Is the floor in there part of this in the gym? Does that get replaced? No.
Yeah,
That floor actually had gotten, it's, well, we had that water damage too.
Yeah.
And it actually, didn't need to be replaced, but it got significantly sanded, and surprisingly, it had a lot of life to it.
Yeah, it's pretty soft.
Yeah, it is, it's a soft floor, it's a soft wood.
Yeah.
But when they looked at the floor and assessed it, it was surprisingly over the years, it hadn't been sanded, so it's got, normally a gym floor gets sanded several times in its lifetime. It hadn't been, and so when it had the water damage, there was quite a bit of life left in it, and so they leveled it out, sanded it, and resurfaced it, and repainted it, and what have you. But you're right, I mean, it's a soft wood, it's a soft floor.
Got a lot of good spots, that's what I'm trying to nicely say. I think if there's, I mean, just being honest, if we end up with more money in the budget, I think that there's a lot of dead spots in that.
well, is that due to is that due to the surface or to the suspension under the floor? Because it's a suspended floor, if it's over.
It's a significantly suspended floor. I mean, to give you an example, the auxiliaries in the gym, second gym, is very similar to this, what we saw here this summer. It's a concrete base with every gym's gonna be a floating gym. So the concrete base over there for the second gym, there's only about this much space, and so basically that's its floating floor. At the main gym, the one we're talking about, there's portions of it underneath there that I can probably you can do an army crawl pretty easily. It's quite a bit of space between it and the ground. And, but when we had the water damage, there was a whole new vapor barrier created underneath there to keep the moisture out. That was part of the insurance claim that did that. I'm not 100% aware of all the soft spots, so I would love to check back with you on that. I don't know all.
I think it's definitely something, I mean, if we end up with more money, it's one of those things that would be, I think, appreciated by the community.
But it could be separate. It could be that it is a much more higher suspended floor. It is a softwood floor. There could be any number of variables.
I had a floor that was like that. I mean, when I was a teacher, the gym floor in Oak Ridge is like that. It was, I mean, everybody wanted a gym that had a suspended floor. I mean, because you get a lot of spring off of it and you don't get it's not hard on your joints, your ankles, your knees and all that stuff, and hips especially. So we really look for a suspended.
How long ago was the water damage?
I was looking at those notes just the other day, and we should check the dates. I think it was like 2013, maybe. I'll go back and double check, but.
And with the seismic evaluation, do they evaluate like the foundation of
Yes,
the building?
absolutely.
So like they'll if there was anything that was causing more of that.
No, they didn't see anything. There is going to be some bracing occurring between the gym and the weight room, because that's basically the wall behind the bleachers.
Mhm.
Because that is a seismic wall, so it has to be, there's some serious bracing that's been happening there. And there's some serious bracing on the west wall, I'm sorry, north and northwest wall.
Yeah.
The east wall and the south wall kind of tether up against new construction, so they already had bracing.
Mhm.
But they were all underneath there pretty significantly. And they're gonna be there again. In fact, in the weight room, they're gonna have to open up sections of the floor to get enough space to get these stuff underneath there that they're gonna use to keep that wall reinforced.
One other question, oh, the ice damage. Are we moving forward on anything, are there things that need to be fixed?
No, just trees. Our building's held up and if not for getting this roof up in the summer, we wouldn't open this school.
Do we have no fences damaged anymore?
We have fences in the back corner back there. Our neighbors' trees fell on our fences. But, you know,
We do have a claim started that includes the tree damage, the fence, batting cages at each 3 locations. Some HVAC.
Yeah, we had some HVAC units that actually went to the iceless power. There were several brownouts, you saw that, you know, we all lived through that. And HVAC units don't like to have instant power coming on, instant power going on.
Yeah.
So we had some fuses that had to be replaced, but beyond there, so there's some incidental things like that.
Thank you. A lot of information.
Did the oak grow survive? Like, is that the tree damage we're talking about?
yeah, we dropped there probably 12 to 16 trees that dropped back there. We got 3 leaning on 3 trees now. So a significant portion of that tree.
So like a safety issue, are they gonna come out and are we gonna have those taken down?
Yeah, we've had them assessed and we're getting quotes to get them, looked at. The most recent tree and the most pressing tree because it was near the high school. And if anybody graduated from high school, they would remember it. It's one of the trees that's been there for a long time. It's the oak tree that's, to the west of the property near what would be the new section, new Cedar Hall essentially. That oak tree didn't survive. It literally split 3 ways. It did hit the building, but surprisingly, it hit the building in a way where the branches scraped the building and dragged one of the lights down off the building. That was it. Didn't even damage more than enough to where you could just sweep off the bark that hit it. I mean, so we were pretty lucky, really.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think the limbs, if the light hadn't been there, the light, it would have just barely, you wouldn't have been able to tell that it had hit or, you know, slid down the side, if you will. But that building, that tree was professionally fallen. And our woods shop folks are looking at recovering lumber from that. I believe that is I know this because I happen to have a couple of trees on my own property. You know, I live near the high school. All these trees are related. That happens to be, that's not the same species as this tree. That's a black oak tree. If you're familiar with black oak. Black oak is a very coveted cabinet we're making. Very tight frame. People who do cabinets love black oak. So.
They should make that stop, so we do it, love it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got somebody around here who knows wood. Any other questions? I still have more.
You go.
Mike, any questions? No. So you see, or I listed my January activities, other than being at home with no power, that's what I got for this one. My highlight was really, having time to go be around the kids while they're doing their things at athletics and their activities. And, the highlight of it was getting my head rubbed by one of our wrestlers for left during the dual meet. And it works.
You want?
You know,
That gave me so much joy. So, thank you. Yeah. All right, well, thank you, Mike, I appreciate the report. I don't think I'm gonna ask, but do we have any public comment tonight? I think that's important. All right, on to unfinished business. Information for us tonight on the meeting.
I do, but as soon as I get to it, I gotta boot this back up.
That's right, mine's gonna die, so. I'm getting you some good stuff up. Yeah, I have the, Marilyn gave me a copy of the paper. They did. I just can't see any of the attachments.
Okay, unfinished business, CSD budget update and overview. I promised you I'd be giving you updates, each month on where we are as we get into our budget preparation. And so, we have some things to share with you. Let's see. So the financial situation as we prepare for the 24-25 school year budget, student enrollment has declined by 14%. We went back to 2020 and it's a 14% decline. That's a huge, that's a 14% reduction in state school funding to our district. 14% is a ton of money for us, for anybody. That's about 175 students, equating to $1.75 million less in state school funding. We've been preparing for this, though. We've been talking to the board. We've been putting in our budget messages that, you know, this gap is there between student enrollment and state school funding, and we've been filling that gap with ESSER funds, which is what ESSER funds are meant for. They're the relief funds that are meant to bring in to support us as we recover from COVID. And that's mainly to do with enrollment declines and also support intervention programs. So the cliff is coming, 24-25. We have been able to delay that cliff 1 year. As you probably have read out across the state, most districts are in reduction now. They have a shortfall this year. And we reserved our ESSER funds dedicated to staffing to get out past this year and into next year. So we have a healthier and ending fund balance this year. That's there for the purpose of carrying our services forward at the level that they are now into next year. But we still have to be responsible about what we're doing. So in reducing FTE and costs or expenditures so that we can meet that gap at the end when ESSER is totally gone out of our budget, when we totally don't have it in our district, which will be the end of next year. But ESSER ends this year. We just rolled it into our general fund in order that we could get past this cliff and not take it all the hit. So Chanel has some illustrations to provide for you to kind of explain or show you how this is going.
So, this is some of the data that Mike and I have been reviewing in some preliminary budget talks, so we just want to share with you, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, but this graph here just shows the 5-year trend plus next year's estimate for ADMW, average daily membership. So this weighted number multiplied by the per pupil amount is part of the formula used to determine our state school fund allocation. So as you can see here, we've declined by 209 in ADMW from 5 years ago. Just want to point out that had we remained the same as 1920 pre-COVID, we would have an additional 2.1 million in state school revenue this year. Similar 5-year trend of our state school revenue plus our estimate for next year. 21-22 was the highest loss of state school fund revenue, 8%. It's taken 4 years to bounce back to the same amount of funding that we received in 2021. Some may ask, how is there an increase in state school fund, yet there's a decline in enrollment? And that's because at each new biennium, the states increase the budget, creating a higher amount for the per pupil amount. So when you look at 2021 and compare it to 24-25, the per pupil amount is about $1,500 higher. And that offsets the loss of almost 200 ADMW. Any questions? So opposite of those other two graphs where we kind of saw a decline, there is an upswing in our budgeted FTE since pre-COVID. And Michael's gonna speak to.
So in 2021, we received our first ESSER grant. And that was to purchase all of the technology and systems that we needed for distance learning for the year and a half there. And in 2022, we got another ESSER grant that we continued spending on that schooling at distance learning. And with that funding, it was meant to bring in or to support our staffing level so that we didn't have staffing cuts during that time. And we had staff remaining when we descended or exited the pandemic, and we went into recovery mode, and that's when ESSER 4 came in. ESSER 4 came in to help us maintain staffing levels, to be able to provide additional support to our kids due to the loss of learning during COVID and distance learning. And we have invested heavily in staffing and intervention programs. And our kids, I mean, you know, things have gone really well for us here. I mean, I don't know how we could have pulled it out or done anything differently that would have changed things. You know, it's just, to make it any better, I mean, I just am impressed with what our staff and our students have done, since then in our leadership team to bring these programs in and address, the loss with interventions, targeted interventions, specific things. And we've talked about that over the years. But so we've maintained that staffing up to this year in 23-24. And that was the purpose of ESSER, was to make sure that we have the resources available to do that federal funding, but the state really hasn't stepped up in that for us. We, the superintendents across the state of Oregon advocated, we wrote letters, you saw a letter I wrote to the legislature advocating for $1 billion more for the state schools funding across the state. And that $1 billion would have meant $1 million for us, which would have meant we would have staffing reductions and expenditure reductions going into 24-25. So that's how we've been able to keep our staffing that high. But you can see in 22-23, we started to lower the staffing, and we'll do it again this year, going into next year. And then we'll know going into next year what we need to do the following to make budget zero out.
Okay, so we have these looming numbers coming for a budget deficit. Just to point out a few of the factors. The ADMW, if you look at this graph, this shows the loss or addition from prior year. So in 1920, we were up 20 weighted points for our ADM. 2021, we were up 3. 21-22 is where we took our huge hit and we fell 195. So that correlates with the graph on the right with the state school fund revenue. So again, in graph on the right there, in 1920, we were up $171,000 in state school revenue from year prior. The following year, we only received an additional $32,000. And then in 21-22, we received $1.7 million less than year prior. So in looking at the overall 5 years, the last 5 years, we had a loss of ADM of 189. And we had a loss of state school revenue of $1.7 million.
And that 1.7 million has been covered by ESSER funds. And the next $1 million gap is going to be covered by ESSER funds that we have in our ending fund balance this year. That's what it's targeted for. And we're trying to keep it there.
And then this graph here is also, so your the gray line is your percentage of state school fund. So like this graph here on the right, instead of the numbers, I just broke it down into percentages. So in 1920 we saw a 7% increase. 2021 we saw a 3% increase. 21-22 we saw a negative 8% decrease. So that's how that trend line was written. And then the orange line represents the average COLA and average step of our employees. So all employee groups across the board. And so you can see there that in the end is what has led to a 14.5% deficit in our biggest source of revenue and our biggest source of expenses. And like Mike had mentioned, this deficit has been bridged by grant funding, mostly ESSER. SIA has helped a little bit.
The point about SIA though is that as our enrollment goes down, so does SIA fund because it's for student funded as well.
So all that to say, this is how it translates into numbers, and this is some preliminary projections that we've been working on just recently as we've geared up for budget season. So 23-24, thanks to ESSER, we will have a healthy ending fund balance that we need to fill the gap for next year for 24-25. So we still have work to do, and strategies to consider to bring that 24-25 balance to zero. Right now it is in the negative, but then you can see the cliff that Mike was referring to in 25-26 of a $2.8 million gap.
And that's if we were continuing as we are now with our current service levels. So obviously, our current service levels are not going to be the same going into next year and the following year. For us to balance out on the budget.
And 25-26 is a new biennium from the state, so we will have a new number, an unknown number of what that looks like.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Any questions for y'all?
So the plan, I mean, John said a lot of things, but at what point is the goal for this next year to fill the deficit with attrition?
So we are going to continue with attrition into this next year. We have a $350,000 deficit going into next year, so we're going to need to deal with that through attrition, that we're going to deal with that. We won't have to, we're not looking at layoffs in the next year. If we maintain the $1 million in our general fund going into the following year, we'll have a little bit of help into that going into that next biennium, but it all depends on where we end up on expenditures and how attrition goes and everything, as we get through this season, going into next year, to see where our cost savings are through attrition. But we've been reducing staffing in all levels. And so a little bit started in 22, 23, and well, not a little bit, but that's where we've already started. To try and get at this $300,000 deficit that's coming up, the first one.
There, which school are we seeing the biggest decrease in?
Here,
Is it in our elementary school?
this is our most populated, so here's how it's happening, so we're down 100 kids here.
Right.
And what's happened is since 21-22, our kindergarten enrollment has been down by 20 or more a year. And that kindergarten class that first started out at 25 less or so, maybe even 30, is now third grade. They're gonna move up to fourth grade. So each year that moves up, the incoming class is still 20 students lower. So we're losing them coming into kindergarten, and they go up. We don't have a lot of housing development here to bring new families in. We don't have a lot of families selling their homes for new families to come in, so we really have a stagnant growth in our community. And we're not really able to pull from other districts are losing enrollment too. For the same reasons, but also kids exiting the public school systems, going to private schools or charter schools. And homeschools, and mostly those littles in K-3 are in homeschool with their parents. That's mostly where they're at, but we don't have a lot of them in our pool here to bring into our school in the first place, so it's kind of a compound thing there. So while that's happening in primary grades now where it's at, our graduating classes are like 100 kids or have been. 100 kids until this last year, it was 73, but up to, so we had 100 going out, we had 80, 75, 60 coming in. So we were losing on that entry and exit. And so now it's just working its way through the system, grade level by grade level. From 3 years ago. Good question.
And that's a trend, not just here, right? Like other districts with the statewide.
Statewide, the enrollment is down, 400 something thousand kids this year. So it's 1.5% a year is the trend right now. It was higher, but that's, if you go back to 2020, that loss, it has, I mean, if you're looking at it like a 15 to 20%, right around 20% drop, and some districts are 30%. Ashland is decimated. Yeah, they're just, we're really, it's getting everywhere. Everybody's getting it. And we all, I mean, we all knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming. The whole state knew it was coming. The legislature knew it was coming. The governor knew it was coming. And we were saying it's coming. Give us some help. We need that other, we need over 11 billion. And they didn't approve it. And now you got, stuff going crazy because of that lack of funding.
So I appreciate the update. Sure, your one from here on, is my request.
Yeah.
But any other questions for Mike? Thank you. And then information.
Yeah, so because of the ice storm and everything got put out and people losing their power, we decided to bring back, the, school building visits, schools visits for board members. So, that date is the, 4th, what's my number? But I'll have to get it for you.
Yeah, you can send it to us, that would be good.
But we put it in before spring break.
Okay,
I think it's the 2 weeks before spring break.
great. And then we have the OSBA training reminder, March 6th at 5 p.m. We'll be here, right? In the room?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, here, I got it.
Okay, I didn't want, sorry.
School board visit, February 26th to March 15th. Please contact principals if you would like to meet with them and take a tour of the buildings. If you would like to pair up or visit in groups of 3, they would be happy, yeah.
Hey, I want to do 7. Okay. Sure, thank you. I kind of covered, don't forget March 6th. I will not be attending. But, and who's doing that again?
Vince Adams,
Vince Adams. That's
OSBA.
right, Vince Adams. I really like him, he is great, so that'll be a good change. And then information on budget committee update, do we have any updates, Carolyn?
Well, one person reached out to Mike and then he shared that with me and I forwarded information about how they could apply, but I've not heard anything back.
So, okay,
Maybe
Mike will bother them, no, I don't know.
I could do that.
We could just like
I could ask them, you know, to just make sure, did you receive the information?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure when she received the information, it was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh. But I can do that if you'd like me to.
Does budget committee, I'm sorry, and I should know this, they have to physically live within the district, or they have to have kids that go to school in the district?
It's a live.
They live in Creswell.
All right, so there's all that, and then the next thing is like. New business. Sure.
Okay, superintendent recommendation. So, the ODE instructional hours emergency closure days due to inclement weather. The board approves the calendar. Calendar is all the school days that we have in it. And with the calendar, when we have closure days, the board also, makes a decision, whether we're going to have makeup days or no makeup days, due to those closures. We build our annual school calendar to include enough instruction hours to cover 5 emergency school day closures and still meet the ODE Division 22 minimum requirements for instructional hours. Some districts take this proactive approach with somewhere between 2 to 5 days of instructional hours insurance, and some don't. Those that didn't this year will be able to waive 14 hours of the missed instructional time and will need to add school days to their calendar to meet the Division 22 requirement. So the state has given a waiver of 14 hours, but we were at 4 days, that's more than 14 hours. So if they didn't have anything in their insurance, their school closure insurance, instructional hours, then they're gonna have to add days to the year. We're seeing them add President's Day, they're adding, school days at the end of the school year. And I mean, there are some districts that are, you know, around a week. They extended on the school year. But with our approach, we accommodate 5 school closure days. So I'm recommending that we do not add makeup days to the calendar. It's your choice, even though we have the instruction hours. If you want to add days because you missed those days, you may. But our plan has always been that we want to be sure that we meet the Division 22 requirements and our kids get the instruction hours they need in the event of closure. This is the second time that we have reached our 5-day insurance bank on with school closure days since I've been here.
So we only have 4, right? Do
We had 4, so we have one
One
left. And if we got into a thing where we had a late February storm or something like that, and it took 2 days to close down, then we might talk about, okay, are we gonna add a day to make up? Or do we want to go for the waiver and get the 14 hours in and go back? So we have, that's our kind of ace in the hole right now.
So we don't have to make a decision.
Not right now. Your decision is, yeah, my recommendation is that we not add makeup days to the calendar.
Yeah. I feel like that's fair. If we built them in there. I don't know. So I guess we need a motion to visit them.
I move to approve the superintendent's recommendations.
Okay, any discussion?
Second.
I think we have to move.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then we can discuss.
Okay, yeah. So do you have does anybody think that we should? Mike, any opinions on it?
I'm sorry?
Any opinion on whether or not?
No, I think it's fine. You got 1 day open, so. But
All right,
I don't think we need to do anything.
all right, all in. For that information.
Sure.
Information.
Thank you for supporting that recommendation. Information on my evaluation. I've attached my evaluation timeline for you. And on that timeline, for next month, the evaluation document will be sent out to the board and targeted audience of staff that I directly supervise. I'd like to request that Maryland send evaluations out to 4 staff of the district leadership team under my supervision to be completed and then return to, well, you know the system, they return them to you anonymously. Okay, or you keep it anonymous anyway.
Absolutely. I'm the vault.
She knows more than. Oh,
You don't even want to.
I don't want to know.
Anyway, so, boy, it's coming around quick, I can't believe it's already here. Any
No, okay.
questions or anything? Good? Okay, am I still going?
Yeah, it's all the microphone.
Awesome, graduation rates and highlights. Oh, then now here's where we get happy. Because this is good. So our high school is phenomenal. Our graduation rate, in last year was 85%. We were above the state at 82%. And we were at the top of the county.
85% is the top of the county.
85% is, oh, that's high.
Well, it feels a lot, I mean, I get it, and I appreciate that, I'm not,
It's a B plus.
I know, I just feel like it's higher, but
And we're,
how do we not have 15% of our students not graduate?
well, with the cohort, we have kids that have moved out or have moved into other programs. They haven't completed high school credits yet, and they didn't get into our completion. We don't know where they're at and what they've done, so that all goes into the cohort rate,
Gotcha.
by the state.
It's not necessarily that our students are failing, that we're failing our students.
No, it's not that they all dropped out of here. They could have moved out of here. Some dropped out, some moved out, and we're not tracking them in our cohort.
Then we don't know where they're at, we haven't counted them. Gotcha.
The state count. But our completer rate is 87%, so we have 2 more students that completed their high school journey. But they didn't complete on time. And so our completion rate is at 87%, the state's at 84%. The numbers that are really, that stand out to me though, are our economic disadvantaged students, graduation rate of 85.7%. Our students with disabilities at 94.4%. Our never English learners, we're at 84%. These are all usually your most, well, they're just not, these are numbers are extremely high in these groups. Our homeless students are at 89%, nearly 90% of our homeless students graduated. And our CTE participants, all students that participated in CTE programs in our high school graduated at 93.4%. So those are the highlights of our graduation rates from last year, and that's really a nice springboard for this year.
Do we know our on-track rate? Not that I need to know that.
Our on-track rates are over 90%.
Okay.
They have been. So I know that when they're showing 85% of our kids graduate, I know that they were on track going into the senior year at 90-something%. I mean, we're as high as 98, 99% some grade level. So it's the kids that, I mean, we have some that fall off, but then those that we can't track that are not with us here. Yeah. Question? That's good news. You don't want to be the one that's at 63%.
I feel like I can confidently order his tapping down now.
All right. Next item is the letter of gratitude. Did you just attach that?
I did, in your, isn't it in there?
Yeah, on my side.
Okay.
Joel and I are working.
So I just wanted you all to know that during the ice storm, there was a lot of, I mean, we all went through stuff, and some of us had more than others out there without power and loss of food and that kind of stuff, and, but those utility companies and what they faced to get us back on our feet was absolutely amazing. I mean, we brought them in from out of state to help us out, and not that we could say we appreciate our governor for being prepared for this kind of a crisis, but our power companies sure they were getting the job done, so the superintendents of Lane County wanted to let them know that, and let the community know that we know what it took to do this, to get our schools going. And, so that's what that was about.
All right. Next item. Do we read it then, the action, Marilyn? We can't remember. For the, did we read it first? Okay. The next item is the, school counselors appreciation week.
Okay, I'm reading this, right? Okay, National School Counselors Appreciation Week Resolution, whereas school counselors are employed in public and private schools to help students reach their full potential, and whereas school counselors are actively committed to helping students explore their abilities, strengths, interests, and talents, as these traits related to career awareness and development, and whereas school counselors help parents focus on ways to further the educational, personal, and social growth of their children, and whereas school counselors work with teachers and other educators to help students explore their potential and set realistic goals for themselves, and whereas school counselors seek to identify and utilize community resources that can enhance and complement comprehensive school counseling programs and help students become productive members of society. And whereas comprehensive developmental school counseling programs are considered an integral part of the educational process that enables all students to achieve success in school, now therefore be it resolved that the Creswell School District Board of Directors proclaims February 5th through 9th, 2024 to be School Counselors Appreciation Week. And be it further resolved that the Creswell School Board of Directors strongly encourages all members of our community to join in this observance, recognizing the dedication and hard work of these individuals. By Debbie Wilkerson.
Brilliant. We need a motion.
Yeah, I move to adopt the School Counselors Appreciation Week resolution.
All in favor? All right. Thank you to all of our school counselors.
Very much so.
Very good. Next item.
They get on to the next one too. Okay. Classified Employee Appreciation Week resolution. Whereas the education of youth is essential to the future of our community, state, country, and world. And whereas classified employees are the backbone of our public education system. And whereas classified employees work directly with students, educators, parents, volunteers, business partners, and community members. And whereas classified employees support the smooth operation of offices, the safety and maintenance of buildings and property, and the safe transportation, healthy nutrition, and direct instruction of students. And whereas our community depends upon and trusts classified employees to serve students, and whereas classified employees with their diverse talents and true dedication nurture students throughout their school years. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Creswell School Board of Directors proclaims March 4th through 8th, 2024 to be Classified Employee Appreciation Week, and be it further resolved that the Creswell School Board of Directors strongly encourages all members of our community to join in this observance, recognizing the dedication and hard work of these individuals. Signed by Debbie. I move to adopt the Classified Employees Appreciation Work Resolution.
All right, all in favor? All right, thank you. All right, and thank you to all of our classified employees too. As a former classified employee, I agree.
We're only doing it for one
One week. I do like that we got that one in, the employee, the classified one in before it, so we knew about it, because the counselor one has already happened.
It's in motion.
Yeah, it's current. Is it current?
It was last week, so, yeah. All right, okay, and we have our item that Candace added.
Yes, I move to adopt the math curriculum as presented today. Math adoption as presented today.
Okay,
Do you clarify that school?
no, high school. Do we need to?
Sure.
Yeah.
I
You already adopted the middle school.
move to adopt the Creswell High School math curriculum as presented today.
No, second.
All right, all in favor? All right, great, thank you. Thank you for remembering.
I wrote it down, or I would not have remembered. I would like to say that I would just have remembered that, but.
All right, last, I think-ish, trustee report. Mike, you have anything?
Yeah, I went to a girls' basketball game last night. A couple weeks ago, I went to an airport commission meeting, and there's gonna be a group from the high school and a group, we're gonna ask the middle school 8th graders if they wanna have lunch and go out to the airport, and the pilots and the mechanics out there are gonna arrange different sites that kids can go by and actually look and see, you know, maybe climbing an airplane or what it takes to fix an airplane or, you know, that kind of thing, just have a day. We did that 4 or 5 years ago and we had a lot of excitement. And since we've got the classes now at the high school, well, that's a natural progression for them. So, that's gonna happen. And I was with Joel in a couple meetings about picking some architects, which that's gonna be it's gonna be fun because they're really good companies. The thing that I was most excited about is I went to a Lane ESD meeting, and one of their teachers was working with special needs kids, and I don't know who came up with the idea, but what they did was they went to South Eugene and Sheldon, and they had some special needs kids, and they matched them up with just, I don't want to say normal, but regular kids at school. And they had robotics, which consisted of a robot that had wheels and stuff. It could take commands, and it had a big hammer to destroy whatever it came close to. And so they got these kids together, they taught them how to put these robotic robots together, and they had a contest to see who came out ahead. And so far in the Lane County, South Eugene and Sheldon are involved in it. But these kids, I was just amazed, the special needs kids and the normal kids, and I don't like that word, but they were putting this robotics together, and both of them knew what they were doing. And the cool part afterwards, 2 of the kids were talking about what kind of changes it made at the school or something. And 2 of them said that, you know, before the special needs kids was there, but nobody really talked to them. And they said now when they go down the hall, they'll see a special needs kid, he'll be a buddy, and they'll fist bump, they'll have a special handshake, but they're communicating back and forth all the time. Those kids are, I mean, they can put those robots together as good as the regular kids. And these 2 guys were really happy about the results of what had happened. And this gal at Lane ESD is gonna try to get that program all over Lane County, and then within a year, try to have it around the state. And I know that Lane ESD has got some absolutely wonderful programs for special needs kids. I'm just amazed. But I thought this program was really, really cool, just getting started. And I guess Amy's, you've heard about it, right? Yeah, she's heard about it too, and it's just getting started, but, I hope that we have a chance to maybe do something like that down here. It'll take the kids, what they say, average a couple weeks to put these robots together. And then they'll have some local area, and they'll have a contest, and these robots just beat the heck out of each other. And the one that can't go, of course, is the loser. But, I was just amazed at what they've done, but what these kids said about what the reaction was with the special needs kids after they've been around them and stuff, the special handshakes and fist bumping as they go down the halls and stuff. They just, you know, before they just pass them at night and not saying a word to them. And I just thought that was really cool. That's all I have.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah.
What have I done? I've been to the bond oversight committee meeting. I've done a lot of fundraising with the 8th graders. I've helped some incoming freshmen work on off-season points for football, doing concession stands at basketball games. Then some basketball games at the middle school and high school. And I survived the ice storm.
Do you have anything to report out about from the bond oversight meeting that I didn't cover in our information?
Absolutely, we talked a lot about making sure it was being spent and how it was being spent.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have a new chair, right?
Yeah, well, I was already trained because Stephanie stepped down.
Yeah.
And Danielle is the vice chair.
Very good.
I have I've done 2 or 3 concession stands at the high school basketball games. I blame Coach Worsham. I do too. I think I'm also Coach Worsham, so I don't think you can say that, but yeah. And so I've seen a handful of basketball games, and we've also started open gyms. So we do open gyms on Mondays and Wednesdays for softball. And we start field work this weekend if anyone wants to come out and join us. No, I didn't get any.
Did Lacey go present something somewhere? Oh,
Friday, yeah, we'll be at the bonds and ballots and building conference and say on Friday. We present at 7:45.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we check in at 7:45.
Oh.
Presentation started at 8:50.
That's a good comment, but.
Hey, we were there 5 years ago,
I like it.
trying to
But
figure
you're
out
right,
how to
people
get
that-
on.
Now we.
I have one, I have one. Highly recommend that to districts. Yeah, and right now, Candace came to leadership too.
Oh, yeah.
So don't tell her that she did that. And so that's what I've done, and negotiations, I got to participate in my first go around negotiations. It was good, and then I went to the wrestling team. That's all. And the only other thing on our agenda would be board goals, which I don't think we have any, and then we have our book that we have. Yeah, we go over it last week.
We didn't have any power, I couldn't read it.
I feel like with just 4 of us, we should wait and see if we have a bigger group and then we can talk about the kind of deal. Because also I did not read it, so I'll just be honest, very transparent right here.
It was an excellent chapter.
But then
I read it.
I stayed and watched her, so I feel like I've had a. All right, next board meeting is March 6th. Right, is that okay? No, March 13th. I don't know how to think. March 13th, I will not be here. Candace will not be here. I'm going to talk to Lacey about doing that because we will both be in Arizona, not together, separately. In the sunny state. Be jealous. All right, that's everything for tonight. All right, meeting adjourned.